There we go. Drama in the world of New York sports. It's the one season that never seems to end. Let's talk about it tonight. It is Wednesday night, and you know what's up. We are live. Well, welcome everybody back to New York Sports WickerMedia. I'm K99, and thank you as always for taking the time to watch the videos. First of all, I want to give a quick shout out to the great Gunny at New York Jets Situation Report. Had myself on last night along with a few other friends. I know everybody enjoys watching Tigo and Nick go at it, talking over each other. I just sat back like this and put my feet up and just enjoyed the entertainment for a little while there. But Mike, the stat guy, he was really cool as well. Glad to talk to him for, I think, the first time. But yeah, we had a whole lot of conversations. So go check out Situation Report if you want to check out that content. All right, so here's what we're going to do tonight. We got a lot of Jets things to get into. I'm actually going to give you my updated 53-man roster. I've done it once before, but in between preseason games, I think it's a good time to update that. So we will do that. We'll give a little recap of one Jets drive. We'll talk a little wrap-up about the game with the Commanders, and a short preview on Jets-Panthers, and I've got some Jets-Panthers trivia lined up for you a little bit later on tonight. But before we get into all of that, you know what to do. That little thumbs up. Just check that thumbs up there. Gets the word out. Lets everybody know that you like the video and you like the channel. So I definitely appreciate everybody's support. And before we get into everything, I want to say a couple of quick hellos. The great Tony Alexio, the president of the Chris Streveler fan club. Can't wait. That's right. Glad you're here, Tony. Harlan Abraham here as well. And Hank G. Yeah, we got a couple of H-bombs going on right now. And I want to say hello to, hi, Mom. Well, Mom beat Dad to being a channel member, so she gets the edge on that. Even though Dad's probably watched more videos, Mom has made the commitment. It only took 43 years. All right, so so it looks like we got a few other people kind of trickling their way in here. Howdy to you guys as well. Well, I want to get into some content right now, so let's talk about what's on my mind with a little bit of what we like to call 3 and out. First thing I'm going to talk about is a little bit of baseball. Holy shit, the Mets are a disgrace. I'm sorry, I gotta drop a cuss word right at the top of the show. I'm so aggravated right now. 4 straight losses. Getting swept in Seattle was one thing. Then they come back for a home series against Oakland, the team, or next year, the Sacramento A's. I know Jeremy Kravat's going to be going to a whole lot of home games. But the Mets pitch Paul Blackburn against the A's, against his team that he had been with for 6 years. And deep down, I'm like, the first home game after a long road trip never seems to go all that well. I didn't have a good feeling. And 3 batters into the game, it was all but over. The Mets lose 9-4, but what aggravated me the most was Austin Adams. If you don't know who he is, you're in line with 99% of all sports fans. This ex-Met who was cut early on in the season. He signs on with Oakland. He went from basically the penthouse to the outhouse. Okay, and he strikes out Francisco Alvarez in a big spot and does the OMG celebration. He's cursing out fans. This is a scrubber of a reliever who has an career ERA near 5. He is an absolute no-name, and he wants to have his little moment of glory like Paul Sewald did when he came back with the Mariners years ago. Now you got Austin Adams taking a proverbial shit right on the mound at Citi Field. What a disgrace this was to get humiliated by the A's. This isn't the Phillies. This isn't the Yankees. This isn't the Orioles. These are the A's.
Oh my gosh, Pete Alonso. Oh my gosh. His contract for next year is going down by the day. By the day. Just when it looked like he was getting hot after a multi-home run game last week in Colorado, since then, he has gone over 16 with 9 strikeouts. People will compare him to Dave Kingman. He's not even in Dave Kingman's league, Pete Alonso. All right, I'm going to give you a couple of quick stats. I just have to do a little Mets rant right here. With runners in scoring position, he's hitting .211. That is the 4th worst in all of baseball for batters who have had at least 110 plate appearances. Bases loaded, 1 for 9 with 4 strikeouts and 10 plate appearances. Runners on base in general, he's hitting .209. 209, last in baseball. The next worst is Alex Bregman, 242. That's a 33-point gap. Oh my gosh. And somehow the Mets are still only 2 games out of the wild card behind the hapless Braves. You got to be kidding me. I mean, there's still 40 games left to go. And by no means am I saying that how they're playing right now is how they're going to play the rest of the season. Because we know baseball, it goes in spurts. How you play one game or one series is not always indicative of how you're going to be playing. But this is terrible because after this, you got to deal with Miami, the proverbial thorn in your side. No team rises to the occasion against the Mets better than the Marlins, considering where they usually are in the standings. Then you've got 10 games against Baltimore, San Diego, and Arizona. The last 2 series on the road. Just a day at the beach. Like a deep tissue massage. If you're getting the massage from a freaking porcupine. Absolutely terrible. I've had enough of them. On to the Yankees. Yankee fans are amazing to me. All the championships that they brag about, but they will freak out over one loss. One loss to the Chicago White Sox and the sky is falling. But sure enough, they come right back. Juan Soto hits 3 home runs, and just about all is well in the Yankee Kingdom. First place. I say that because Jazz Chisholm is now going to be out at least 3 to 4 weeks with a UCL injury in his left elbow. And man, that is quite the loss because Chisholm was really the only notable player the Yankees picked up at the trade deadline. Before that, they were really slumping. But Chisholm, 7 home runs in 14 games. What a contribution he's made. I got to give him a lot of credit. I wonder if the Yankees are going to put in a claim on Ahmed Rosario, the former Mets prospect. They had interest in him. And the Dodgers just designated him for assignment on Monday. And to think Rosario at one time was the number 1 prospect in all of baseball. Pretty amazing. And now he's just shuffling through teams. Just whoever needs a utility player with an okay bat. That's basically where he is. All right, on to number 3. I want to talk about something that's a little bit bittersweet. I want to actually, you know what? I gotta switch the background just for this one particular topic. I'll pull the Jets one back up, but we got to pull up a little bit of Madison Square Garden because Sam Rosen, the Rangers play-by-play announcer, will be retiring after this year after 40 years in the broadcast booth. 77 years old, called over 3,000 games. I mean, as long as I've been alive, Sam Rosen is the only real play-by-play voice I've known of my favorite hockey team. I think he came to the Rangers, I think in 85. It would have been 84, 85 when he really started to step in. And since then, him and John Davidson to me that is about as good a play-by-play and color commentating combination as I've ever heard. And I'm talking about all sports. Summerall and Madden will always be the best in football. But Sam and JD, I put him in my top 5 easily, maybe even top 3. But Sam, you know what? Job well done. Glad he's going out on his terms. And as far as who takes the job next, I hope it's either Kenny Albert or Bob Wischusen. Kenny's been doing the radio with the Rangers for a while. I don't know if he would really commit to just one job and one sport. Maybe he would. But I love Bob Wischusen doing the hockey. Love it. I think he's excellent on ESPN. He's a million times better than friggin' Sean McDonough, who, oh my gosh, it's like Joe Buck on sedatives, like the old days of Joe Buck, before Joe Buck got a little energy and a little verve, right? Joe Buck, I think, is pretty good now. But Sean McDonough just bores the crap out of me. I think Wischusen is far better. And you know what? He already does the Jets play-by-play on the radio. Maybe he could do the Rangers as well for TV. Don't know if he'd be interested, but I'd love to see it happen. All right, guys. Well, let's go ahead and switch this back. I think we've had enough of the 3 and out for tonight, but I'm going to put the green back up just like that. And I think we also need to switch the theme, and we're going to change the theme from blue to green, just like that. And I'll tell you what, guys, I know why you're here. I think I know what you want to talk about, but I want to feel your energy. So everybody say it proud, say it loud. Let me hear you. There you go. It's time to talk a little New York Jets football. Quick hello to, there it is, Hang G, channel member. Thank you very much for that. Tony, also a channel member. We got the great David D here as well. Greetings to you as well, my friend. I'm glad you're here. All right. Well, guys, if anybody doubted the influence of this show, if you were here last week, we were talking about the One Jets Drive series and how they've been doing all these origins features instead on different Jets players that are available on YouTube, on the Jets social media channels. And they've been doing that, and it seemed as though it was going to replace One Jets Drive. 2 days later, out comes the announcement. Here comes One Jets Drive again. So, guys, they heard our voice. We said One Jets Drive. What else can we say? But this episode, I'll give you a little bit of a recap of it. This was basically in Florham Park the entire time. This was a lot different than some of the other episodes that we've seen. I like kind of the old-time intro where you have like the 60s and 70s music, a lot of horns, the trumpets and all of that, with the modern-day clips, the modern-day media clips being used along with the old-time music. Thought it created a pretty cool mashup. So this was really focused on the offense. They started with the new-look offense. It was like 5 seconds on Aaron Rodgers, and then boom, right into the offensive line. Tyron Smith broke him down. Just you have the other players just raving about just how good he is and how he is an absolute Hall of Famer. The running back room, I thought that was probably about my favorite part of the episode. They spent quite some time on the running backs. You got to really meet Tony Dews, the new running back coach. And I talked about this last night with Gunny. I think that the Jets have really transformed that running back room, and not just with Breece Hall, but if you look at the youth, at the explosiveness, the toughness that is now in this room, it's pretty amazing. I mean, last year, can you believe 12 months ago, our running back room was Breece Hall, who was coming back from an ACL, mind you. Dalvin Cook, who is so far over the hill, he couldn't even see the freaking hill in his rearview mirror. And then you had Izzy Abanikanda, a completely unproven rookie who the coaching staff did not trust. And now look, Braylon Allen, Isaiah Davis, we'll get into all of them. But Breece is now the clear leader. You could see it in the way he was joking with the camera operators, basically introducing everybody. You got Tony Dews talking about getting out of the comfort zone. He talked about that maybe 4 or 5 times. And he said it to his players. Be comfortable being uncomfortable. Fight through adversity. Fight through pain. Fight through uncertainty. Anybody can thrive when all the circumstances are right. But when they're down, what do you have? I like it. I like it a lot. And you know what's really funny? In the running back shot, they had a picture of all the running backs kind of in a huddle. And whose back is right to the camera? Tariq, the retired one, Cohen. I guess right after that scene was shot, he decided to retire. So it was a little weird seeing a now former Jet in that shot. Then on to the wide receivers. Sean Jefferson, new wide receivers coach, talking about the TNTs, the things that take no talent. Can we control that? Our effort, our discipline, all that kind of stuff. No matter how much God-given talent you have, there are certain things you can control. So the TNTs is what Sean Jefferson was talking about, your effort, your attitude. Then we saw a little bit of Mike Williams getting activated from the physically unable to perform list. Man, was that good news. That's some of the best news we've had as Jets fans all of training camp, that he was cleared so quickly. And they put Garrett Wilson over like he was Jerry Rice, like he was the second coming of the Lord himself. The quickness he had, man, the smarts, the calmness, the confidence, it's amazing. And, you know, and then we get into Aaron Rodgers. They spent a little bit too much time, though, on the Rodgers realm, on the Rodgers impersonator, you know, with the long hair and the fake porn mustache and all of that. You know, the guy who has the internet account, the Twitter account, whatever it is, who likes to impersonate Rodgers. So Rodgers comes over, shows him the correct signals like wolf and can and all this kind of stuff. So making sure that he's got all that right so he could impersonate Rodgers properly, I guess. And then it gets into a little bit of Washington, but it really focused on the joint practice. So this was edited. All of it was put together before the preseason game. So you're not going to see any of the preseason game footage here. But it was very different. No preseason action, no profiles of people at home, driving in the car, talking about their story or their philosophies on life and on football. No salmon getting cooked in the offensive coordinator's backyard. No eggs being cooked for 9 minutes on the stovetop. No, Nick Shine didn't make an appearance on this episode. Maybe the next one. I don't know. So it was a little bit different, and it was much more football focused than it had been before. I thought that was good. Hopefully next episode we get a lot more game coverage. And Tony Alexio loves it. Braylon Allen and Breece Hall will each have 1,000 yards. Yeah, I think this is a run-first offense despite their prowess in the passing game. But that was one of the things that if you watched the preseason game against Washington, you saw a run-blocking machine. And it was with only one starter in to begin with. I got to tell you, I'm very excited, and I'm feeling pretty enthusiastic about where this run game could go. But again, if you don't have an offensive line that's opening up holes for you, you're not going to get a whole lot of traction. I mean, with Breece, guys, remember, the last half of the last two seasons, well, not 2 years ago, but especially last year, he was running into walls. He was being touched behind the line of scrimmage because everybody knew the Jets wanted to run the ball because they didn't trust their quarterbacks to throw the ball more than about 11 yards down the field. Now they can't really crowd the box like they used to, and that should thrill us. Guys, how long has it been? It feels like forever. The opponents have had 8 players in the box, sometimes 9 players in the box. Do we have to go back to the days of Ryan Fitzpatrick for the last time that the New York Jets weren't an absolute we can only run offense? It's like Rex Ryan says, can we not run the ball anytime we want to run it? Can we not throw it anytime we want to freaking throw it? That's where we are right now as an offense. This is now a multi-purpose offense. And how good is that? Harlan Abraham with a good point. Yep, Xavier Newman looked better than he did last season. I would agree. Carter Warren, much better than he did last season, which I'm not surprised at considering he was coming off injuries. I didn't have high expectations for Warren last year, but this year I think he is going to start to step up even more. Even if he doesn't play, he's got the confidence and he's got the health now. I got a good feeling about Carter Warren. I just do. Well, guys, I don't want to be a buzzkill, but let's talk a little Jets news right now. And we are going to talk about kind of what's going on in the world of the New York Jets. And let's just get the annoying stuff out of the way. I want to address Harlan's comment here. I bet Newman will also be the backup center. I think at this point it's going to be him or Chris Glazer. I was thinking for a long time it would be Connor McGovern. I still felt the Jets would sign him. But the more time goes on, the less likely I am confident that that is going to happen. And you know what? If these young guys are stepping up, Newman, Glazer, then there's no need to spend any money on Connor McGovern. But we'll see who winds up making the roster. But yeah, a little later, I'll do my 53-man roster, and let's see if Newman is part of the 53. Maybe he will be, maybe he won't be. I don't know. But let's get the annoying stuff out of the way. Now that we talked about one Jets drive, Haason Reddick. We got to spend some time on him. I know just about every content creator from here to Timbuktu has talked about him, but I'm going to give you my 2 cents. First of all, everybody, welcome to day 23 of the holdout. This entire time I was thinking mid-August seemed about right. Right around the Carolina game would be the time that he would report. I just wanted him to be in camp for like 2 weeks, just 2 weeks. To get to know his teammates, maybe not get to know the defense. I'm not too worried about that. He knows how to rush a passer. This is not a wide receiver trying to build chemistry with a quarterback or a guard trying to figure out the blocking schemes in an offensive line. It's much more independent when you're a defensive end, when you're an edge rusher. But I'm getting a little bit worried now. I'm not worried that the Jets are going to panic and pay him and extend him for a 3 or 4 year deal. I'm worried he's going to get paid and get hurt quickly because his mind has not been on football. He hasn't had the time to work with his teammates, that he's going to be doing too much too soon. I do have some very serious concerns about that. So as far as the money goes, and we're going to talk about the salary cap here because I want to break that down for us. Reddick apparently is seeking about $25 million a year. He wants to surpass Danielle Hunter, who got $24.5 million a year, I believe, from Houston, I believe it was. All right, because he's like Hunter, Reddick is entering his age 30 season. He knows this is his last chance to get paid and get paid well. all right, to get a multi-year deal anyway. But remember, if you, just like Harlan is saying, if he wants to sit out the season, the Jets retain his rights for next year. You know, we can only be speculating on injury. I don't know what he would have been hurt from. I'm not buying that he's hurt. But here's the thing with that. The Jets have the leverage. They have most of the leverage in that, Reddick will be a Jet next year if he chooses to not play. But here's the thing with that. He has already accumulated over $1 million in fines for skipping 21 days in training camp. And that's the stipulation of the CBA. And then those fines can't be rescinded. He's also picked up another $300,000 in discretionary fines as well. Now, I think one of the questions that I've seen is the salary cap situation. So Reddick this year is scheduled to make $14.5 million. So for every game he does not sit out, he forfeits 1/17th of that $14.5 million, 17 games. On average, that comes out to about $852,000 a game. All right. And then for every game he misses, the Jets get that money in salary cap space for 2025. So if he misses one game, Jets get another $852K for 2025. The next year, it'd be about $17.04 million, and so on and so on and so on. But to me, the trade demand request depends on who you talk to. That came out this week, it's just posturing. It's desperation from a player who assumed, and an agent who assumed that the New York Jets would cave in because, you know what, they had lost Bryce Huff. They know this is their time, and they felt that this would be a situation where maybe they could sucker Joe Douglas. No, Joe Douglas did not get suckered here. Joe Douglas, if anything, was maybe a little bit naive, and I'm as one of the biggest Joe Douglas defenders you will ever meet. I'm up there, right about there with Nick Scheim when it comes to defending Joe Douglas. But the fact that there wasn't a plan in place, I know it had been, like Reddick said, yeah, I'll show up, all of that, that's all well and good. But something should have been agreed in place before the contract was worked out. Look at San Francisco with Brandon Ayuk as a for instance. As a bug wants to try to fly into my path. He is not welcome on the show tonight. So, yeah, it's in Reddick's best interest to play now because we've seen what taking a year off can do. Look at Le'Veon Bell. With the year he took off before he came back, went to the Jets, and was never even close to the same player that he was again. And as far as the trade talk goes, I don't think there's too many people who are actually willing to trade Haason Reddick because at that point, what's the point? What are you getting back for Haason Reddick? Are we going to trade him to Pittsburgh and we're going to get TJ Watt back? Is that what's going to happen? I don't think so. All right. And even the player-for-player options. I saw a few people say Davante Adams. Well, Davante Adams, a couple things. He's 32 years old. And again, that is a situation where you cannot make a trade without a restructure already in place. Davante Adams over the next 3 years has $113 million on the cap coming to him. His cap hits for this year and the 2 years after that are $25 million, $44 million, and $44 million. $113 million. So the restructure is obvious. But again, I don't blame the Jets for not extending Reddick. One, because he's never done a thing for them. Two, he's 30 years old and he's a speed-based pass rusher. Plus, you have all these other guys you need to pay in the next year or two. Michael Carter was mentioned by Tony Alexio. That is the first guy that should get a contract because, you know what? He may be the best at his position in the league. You know, and then we know all the other guys. I don't need to run down the names. We'll cross that bridge another day. Yeah, Harlan says that Reddick lied to JD and the Jets. It was either a lie or he had something in place, but then somebody got in his ear and told him to do something different. Those are the only two possibilities. But if I'm Reddick, I'm pissed off at my agent. Pissed off because he got some bad advice and he took it. Man. Frustrating. The great Johnny Jimenez. I'll be on with him Sunday morning. This channel usually wouldn't do a Sunday morning show, but due to circumstances beyond my control, I'm now going to be home and I'm going to be available. So I guess I'll just watch church early that morning to get myself in a good mindset before the show. Maybe I'll do that. Good to see you, Johnny. Hang G reminds me of the Marcus May situation. You know, that's been so long ago, and Marcus May was just he was an okay player, but it's like, we've dealt with worse, you know, with Marcus May. But Yeah, what are you going to do? But yeah, but again, with a trade, what are you going to do? Get draft picks for next year? This is a team that needs to win now. The coaching staff knows it. The front office knows it. Their window is now. If they don't make significant, and I mean significant progress, then, everything's going to get cleaned out. So there's no way a trade's happening unless it's for another player. And I don't know what player that would be that's realistic. If it's Adams, it's got to be a restructure. But then again, why would Oakland want to make that trade? Las Vegas, whatever you want to call them. What is that something that they want to do? They want to take Reddick on? I don't know if it makes sense. Not for that team. Tony Alexio, JD overpaid for the Reddick agitation. It's still a draft pick in 2 years. And it's a third-round pick at that could become a second. If it's a pick towards the bottom of the third round, you know what? For the year that he can potentially give you, it's a trade that's worth it. It's just that everything should have been agreed to in place before the trade was actually announced. Aggravation, agitation, dude, it all means the same. The agita. My fellow Italians, you know what agita is. All right, so enough of him. I don't even want to look at his face anymore. Let's talk for a few minutes about the game against Washington. I made sure, of course, Johnny knows that I did everything I could to get a picture of Coots in the shot there. I had to do that. But I wanted to mention a couple of players here. Braylon Allen, wow. I mentioned this stat last night with Gunny. He finished with 24 rushing yards over expected. That's 4 yards of RYOE per carry. So what that means is he basically gained 4 more yards per carry than the average running back would be expected to gain in the same situations. This is a guy who can create his own yardage. He's not just a battering ram. He's not just a bulldozer. In fact, he's actually more than that. He's fast. He's shifty. He's smooth. And he doesn't even, he's only 20. He's still a baby. He's still really learning how to be a running back. Once he gets the confidence going for him, oh my gosh, you could be looking at the best 1-2 running back combination in the NFL. You could easily make that case in a very short period of time. But we talked about him on the show. We talked about how much we like Braylon Allen. And man, I was so happy when I heard, I think it was like that Irish accent during the draft. Yeah, the New York Jets select Braylon Allen, University of Wisconsin. It was bloody brilliant. And now we're already seeing that Agent Zero is for real. And the Killer Bees, there's going to be bobbleheads, T-shirts. There's going to be all kinds of Killer Bees merchandise coming out over the course of the year. You just watch. Isaiah Davis. Braylon Allen wasn't the only running back who stood out. Now, Davis did fall down on a run. He wasn't used to playing on turf. Looked good in the passing game. All right. He did catch 4 passes, I believe. But Davis said, it was his first time playing on turf in a while, but he's very confident that things are going to keep getting better for him. And on his lone kickoff return of the day, he brought the Jets out to the 30-yard line. So it's interesting that with Davis, without Xavier Gibson, Davis and Malachi Corley were the starting kickoff returners. I don't know if I would have expected it to be the two of them, but right now it's Davis and Corley until Xavier Gibson comes back. Tony, that's rough. You can't call Tyrod Taylor. Tyrod Taylor plays for the Mets. Okay, Tyrod Taylor plays for the Jets. See how it goes? But no, definitely not a bust. He's a fine career backup. He's not somebody that you want playing for you the entire season. But if you're inserting him, you know what? You can have some confidence. You can win a game. Little injury prone at this point in his career. He's not a scrambler, but he can manage a game well enough. Yes, Jumpin' Jim Brunzell and B. Brian Blair, yeah, they were kind of jobbers. But nowadays, with the level of tag teams and multiple championships, yeah, they'd be more of an NXT tag team nowadays. They were just there at the wrong time when you had the Hart Foundation, the British Bulldogs, Demolition, Can-Am Connection, Strike Force, Morocco and Orton, Volkov and Sheik, all those types of teams. Yeah, the Killer Bees were only, and then the Rockers, they were only going to get so far. The Rougeaus. How many more 80s tag teams can I name, right? But yeah, it was just not the right time for them. Yeah. Kuntz looks super good in blocking. I was happy. There you go. That's right. I don't have the most confidence he's going to make the roster, but I still think that he can. I still think he has something to shoot for. Well, we talked about injuries, and MetLife Stadium did claim its first victim of the year, and it was linebacker Jimmy Charlo from Army. and he wound up tearing his ACL, and the Jets promptly released him. It's a cold business, my friends. It's cold business. There's some hope he might be useful on special teams. Not the case. So now the Jets bring in Neil Johnson, an undrafted tight end from the most recently of the LA Rams. Now, Johnson was a 5-year player for Louisiana Lafayette, played 59 games. He's a good pass catcher. He had at least one catch in all of his last 26 college games, and he joins the tight end room. It's interesting what the Jets are doing with their tight ends. Hank G says the Brainbusters, yep, a little later, but I don't know if they were there at the same time. But yeah, Tully and Arn, legends for sure. But the thing with the tight ends, I'm really wondering how they're going to use them, because Kenny Yeboah got some time at fullback. We know Yeboah is very useful on special teams, and Aaron Rodgers has thrown to him a little bit in practice. But they used him in that fullback role a little bit, and I think he had that spot because Jeremy Rucker got banged up. He has a concussion now. So even though Salva said he will miss a few days, you never can tell with a concussion. So right now, so that's why they bring in a tight end. So now guys like, Anthony Ferkser, for instance, Kenny Yeboah will get more playing time. And I would expect them to get a good amount of time against the Panthers. But it's really rough timing for Rucker. This was one of those players we really hoped would have his breakout year. But this is definitely going to set him back. I mean, a concussion, you can't help but have a bit of a setback. But now I want to talk about a player, somebody that I agree with Tony on, and that is Jarek Bernard. Converse allowed one catch on 6 targets, and that one catch was an absolutely perfectly placed pass by Jaden Daniels. Good tackling near the line of scrimmage. It wasn't just the coverage. He tackled well. He was recognizing wide receiver routes, the setup of run plays. He was doing all of that very well. And last week when we talked about the players to watch, I quoted Tony Adams and how much he was putting him over and how inspiring JBC's performance had been in training camp, because he had that foot injury that made him miss all of training camp last year, the preseason, and the first 9 games of the regular season. This is really JBC's first preseason, his first training camp, amazingly enough. And in the final 8 games last year, he had only 4 defensive snaps in those 8 games, mostly played special teams. The way things are going right now, DJ Reed, Brandon Eccles, their contracts are up after this year. Between JBC and Qantas Stickers, can you imagine if their replacements come in the 6th and 7th rounds? Oh my God, JD should get a raise and extension for that alone, if that's the way it works out. Tarek McKinley, 2 pressures, still getting making a little bit of traction and continuing to fight his way for a roster spot. Okay, now there he is. So I did want to give a quick update on San Francisco. So they apparently have 26 players who are listed as injured right now. They are beat up. They're so beat up that San Francisco canceled their joint practices with the New Orleans Saints. They were going to have joint practices both Thursday and Friday, and now they are canceled. They're not going to happen. They're going to rest up for the preseason game this weekend against the Saints. Now, Ricky Pearsall, he's coming back next week. Ambry Thomas is out for the year with a broken forearm. And did you all see the news? Corey Davis just came out about 2 hours ago, had a tryout with the Buffalo Bills this week. Our old buddy Corey. One of those players that Jet fans either defend, think got a raw deal, or really just flat out don't like him. I still think it was a worthwhile signing. I just think that he was put in a position to be the number 1 receiver, and he just wasn't ever that. To me, like I've said this, I've used the comparison before. I'm going to use this again. He was Eric Decker. He was never meant to be a number 1, but if you put an excellent receiver along with him, like when Eric Decker got Brandon Marshall, now you're talking a little bit. But injuries got in his way. Poor quarterbacking got in his way. But I still think the contract was, I think it was worth it, even if it didn't work out. That's the way that I'll phrase that. Hello, Nate. Good to see you. The mask is still on, I see. Okay. He wants Qantas Stickers for cornerback 2 in 2025. I love the idea of that. Oh boy. Yeah, man. If nothing else, I'll always have the claim to fame that I put Qantas Stickers over before the draft. That's the one thing I will always have to brag about, and I'll talk about when I'm wrong too. But it looks like I might have gotten that one right. So Corey Davis trying out with Buffalo, and with their wide receiver room, who knows? I mean, Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir, who's the guy? Who's Curtis Samuel? He's there as well. But after that, I mean, it's an okay receiver room, but not special. Everybody's got okay wide receivers nowadays, like okay receivers. But you got to have somebody that's special. And the Bills don't have that right now. Show them you had a Quantez jersey? Wow. Nate, I got to wonder, how many jerseys do you have? I'm a guy who buys a jersey maybe once every 3 to 4 years on average. And but if you're a collector, it's a little bit different. So yeah, Nate, I'm curious about that. Swig of iced tea for the working man. I got my see if this shows up, my New York Mets 2015 NL Champions pint glass. Nate hasn't brought a jersey in 10 years. Did you steal it? Borrow it? Beg for it? I don't know how many options you had here. This year I brought Garrett, Joe Douglas jersey, and stickers. So you haven't brought a jersey? Oh, I get it. So you didn't buy them for a long time. What does the Joe Douglas jersey, tell me, what does a Joe Douglas jersey look like? Not quite sure I'm following the Joe Douglas jersey narrative here, but all right. Before this year. Okay. Yeah, before this year. I got you. All right. I'll tell you what, guys, let's go on to the predicted 53-man roster. So I'm going to give that to you right now, and I'm also going to talk about what I've changed from my previous prediction. Oh, number 78, because that's what he wore at college in Richmond, I believe. Yeah, I think he played for the Richmond Spiders, if I remember correctly. Yeah. We're living pretty close to Richmond for a while. Becton, Douglas, a lot of those guys came from that area. So, yeah. Sorry to mention Mekhi Becton, everybody. Please forgive me. All right, so as far as quarterback goes, I'm maintaining the Jets will have two to start the year, and Aaron Rodgers and Tyrod Taylor. I think Jordan Travis opens the year on the PUP list, and both Martinez and Beasley will be cut, and they will try to bring both back, but I think the priority would be to keep Martinez on the practice squad. So right now, I'm thinking two quarterbacks. So that's one of my bolder takes on this. As far as the running backs go, I've got three. Brees, Braylon, Isaiah. I think Izzy Abanikanda, it's just not going to happen for him. I think that's another player they try to bring back to the practice squad. Now, I know some people, by the way, I want to throw a little caveat in this. Buffalo Jets fan, I know he likes to predict the practice squad. To me, you can't really do that because at least half of these players are going to go to another team or they're just not going to be taken. Last year, the Jets signed 4 or 5 guys that weren't even in camp that wound up on the practice squad. So to me, it's just not worth it to try to predict the practice squad because I guarantee you there will be at least 4 players on that practice squad that we don't even know who they are right now. So that's the reason I'm not going to do that. But I will mention potential candidates for the practice squad. So yeah, and I don't think Nick Baldwin might be back on the practice squad. I still think that's possible as well. So I got 2 quarterbacks, 3 running backs. Then at wide receiver, this was one change I made. I have 7 receivers making the roster instead of only 6. I've got Garrett Wilson, Mike Williams, Malachi Corley, Alan Lazard, Irv Charles. I'm going to assume Xavier Gibson is going to be healthy and that he stays on. But I've also got Jason Brownlee making the roster. The last time I did this, I had him getting cut, but I'm going to go out on a little bit of a limb. And I'd say they carry that 1 extra wide receiver. I was glad to see him catch a very difficult touchdown in the preseason game against Washington. But hey, Irv Charles, he's been showing out a little bit in practice this week too. And Alan Lazard's done some good stuff too. The summer of Lazard. Who knows? Notice that I said summer and not the fall. But he did make a difficult touchdown catch, a difficult catch against Sauce Gardner. There is something to be said for that. So all of these receivers have had their moments to shine. Obviously, Garrett more so than anybody. And once Mike Williams is back in team drills, I guarantee you he's going to have some very good moments early on. But I think this coaching staff's going to have some difficult decisions to make. I've got guys like Malik Taylor, Jakeem Grant, Brandon Smith. I don't think they're going to be quite making the cut, but you can't go past 7 wide receivers here. All right, but I do think the Jets will keep 3 young ones in Gibson, Brownlee, and Charles. Charles, of course, adding the special teams value. Tony, the thing with that is Martinez could be quarterback too. All right, so I'm going to look this up. So Tyrod Taylor, I want to pull his contract up really quick. So he signed 2 years, $11 million. All right. So, all right. So his base for this year is, I don't want to do it on Spot Track. I want to do it on Over the Cap. I like Over the Cap a little bit better for football. All right. So his cap number for this year is 2.8. Next year, it's for 6.8. Then you've got a couple of void years. All right. So if they cut him, let's see, it's $8.5 million in dead cap money if they cut him now. And then it would be $5.7 million in dead cap in 25, 2.4 dead cap hit in 2026, 1.6 million dead cap hit in 2027, and $800K in 2028. So really, you're talking about, let's do the math on this, 13, 15, 16, 17, over $18 million in dead cap money if Tyrod Taylor does not make the roster to start the season. Okay, I know we like Martinez, but Tyrod Taylor will be on this roster. You are not paying out $18 million over 5 years. That would be a terrible management of the salary cap, no matter how much it's going up, no matter how high it's getting. Word used for a reason. Okay, on to tight ends. So I've got 4 making it. Ty Conklin, Jeremy Ruckert, assuming that he comes back from this concussion. I think Anthony Firkser makes the roster. I'm keeping Kenny Yeboah. I still like Yeboah. Again, the special teams value, the fact that he was being used in different roles in the backfield, spots like that, I still think there's something useful to get out of him. I'm not saying he's ever going to be Antonio Gates or Gronkowski or anything like that, but I think he's good to make a couple of surprise plays a game because the team doesn't really know him. They don't know how to handle him. They haven't done any scouting on him. And again, we know Aaron Rodgers loves his tight ends, and Kenny Yeboah is a very capable receiving tight end. So I got 4 staying. I think Zach Kuntz gets cut and gets kept on the practice squad. And then as far as offensive line goes, this is one change I've got. I had 10 offensive linemen on my last roster projection. Now I'm going to drop it down to 9. Okay, actually, we don't need to blow this one up. I'm going to blow myself back up there. All right, so I've got 9 staying. I've got the 5 starters. Tyron Smith, John Simpson, Joe Tippmann, Elijah Vera Tucker, and Morgan Moses. Olu Fashanu obviously has a spot. Carter Warren, to me, he has a spot as well. He's really growing. I like his level of play. I think Warren right now beats out Max Mitchell. Even if Mitchell is listed ahead of him on the depth chart, I like it. Johnny, I know, but remember, Kuntz got cut last year and they kept him. All right? And, after he almost dropped that pass this past week against Washington, which Malachi Corley came in to catch, that didn't help him. Got to be realistic here. I know we don't want to be, but it doesn't mean his career is over by any stretch. Okay, so I've got Carter Warren making it, so that's 7. Then you have to keep Wes Schweitzer. You need interior depth. And then, you know what? I've been feeling Chris Glazer because I felt he was more of a backup center, but you know what? Xavier Newman, with the way he's been playing, he might make a push. He really might make a push. So right now I'm giving the edge to Glazer, but it is a very iffy spot right now. I think Glazer, Mitchell, and Newman are really competing for one spot, but I think Mitchell is going to be on the outside looking in because, again, you need the interior depth. Last time we did this exercise, I had Connor McGovern making the roster. I thought the Jets would sign Connor McGovern as some depth. It has not happened yet, and at this point, if it hadn't happened yet, I don't think it's going to happen. So that's where I'm going to go. I'm going to go with Schweitzer and Glazer for the interior depth because, again, you can't have just Wes Schweitzer playing inside. You need more than that. All right, so that's what I've got. That's 25 players on the offense, and then, of course, I've got 25 on the defense as we flip the slide over. So starting with defensive line, let's get into defensive line. Actually, you know what? Let's just get special teams out of the way. Zerline, Hennessy, Morstead. Anybody have any questions? I didn't think so, unless you want to keep Austin Seibert around. But no, we know who's going to be there on special teams. All right, so that's 20. That is 28 players. That gives us 25 spots left to work with. All right, defensive line. I don't see any way the Jets take any less than 10 players. The defensive line is the bread and butter of this roster, and they're going to bring 10 players on. Defensive tackle, Quinnen Williams, Javon Kinlaw, Solomon Thomas, Leki Fotu. I think we all know those 4 are all but certain to be there, but I don't just have 4 players there. No. not just 4 defensive tackles. I'm adding Leonard Taylor to the 53-man roster. What a beast he was against the Commanders. I knew what I was doing. What a beast he was. Sacks, tackles in the backfield, a relentless motor. We saw reasons why a lot of people, Tigo, myself, I think a lot of us, I think Dom had him going in about the third to fourth round. Wait a second here. Yep, the Patriots. We have breaking news. The Patriots are trading Matthew Judon to the Falcons for a 3rd-round pick. Breaking news here on the WickerMedia show. How about that? So as far as, I just thought of something. The fact that Matthew Judon is not on the New England Patriots anymore, what do you think Patriot fans are saying right now? What do you think they're saying? I know what they're saying. It sounds something like this. He gone! He gone! And all of a sudden, the Patriots just went from maybe about 5 wins to maybe 3 wins. Maybe. As they trade away the best defensive player that they have. A 3rd-round pick for Matthew Judon. The 4-time Pro Bowl pass rusher is not official, but the deal is in the final stages, according to, who is this? The Schultz report, right? I think it's who is this guy? Jordan Schultz. Okay, so yeah, how's that for some breaking news here? Oh man, I want to play the Patriots every game. Let's go. Never did I think I would actually want to go over there, man. Watch a game in New England, but hey, it might be good, you know. Spit on the Tom Brady statue or whatever. Maybe take a piss on it. But I'll tell you this about Atlanta. I think a lot of people were thinking division championship for them. Made a lot of sense to me, the way they upgraded that offense. But there were questions on that defense. That defense just got a hell of an upgrade. I know Judon was hurt last year, but that was the one player on the Patriots defense you had to game plan around. He was the one. They got some good guys, Christian Barmore, different guys like that, Juwan Bentley, Josh Uche. I just want an excuse to say Usi. But, yeah, Judon was the man, easily the man. He was the Jamal Adams of their defense. He had good players, but you knew who the best player was, and it wasn't close. And now, off to the Falcons he goes, and the Jets don't have to see him this year. I feel good tonight. I feel good. Oh my gosh, man! We cannot beat them. Coach Salah, not that you will ever watch me, but 51-3. Don't let up on them. Do not let up. I don't just want to win. I want blood. I want New England blood. I want all the blood. Man, oh man. I was actually thinking Reddick for Judon. Yeah, it was a joke, but, I was thinking it'd be funny if that happened. All right, so yeah, that is going to happen. Patriots had extensive contract talks, and yeah, they just could not make it work. Now, let's see if Atlanta signs him to a contract. Let's see if that happens. Just saying. But yes, I've got Leonard Taylor making the Jets. So I've got 5 defensive tackles. Little crazy, but that's what I got. On the defensive end side, the edge rusher, I've got 5. Haason Reddick, yep, I'm including him. I still believe he's going to be on the team. I think you still have to give him that 53-man roster spot until proven otherwise. Of course, you'll have JJ. You'll have Will McDonald. That's 3. Now you got 2 more. I've had this weird feeling that Michael Clemens' roster spot is not safe, but Jeff Ulbrich did really put him over in the press conference today. Now, maybe the part of that is they want people to have the impression that the Jets defensive line will be fine without Haason Reddick. It may have just been posturing, and if it is, I completely understand why. I just know I don't notice Clemens very much on the field. To me, he is a run-stopping defensive end who can play special teams, but has one pass rush move. He could bull rush, and that's it. So, to me, his roster spot should be very, very tenuous. I am going to keep Takk McKinley, though. I think he is going to beat out some of the younger players for a spot, and they've shown glimpses. Jalen Holmes has looked pretty good. Eric Watts, I believe, had a sack against Washington. Ray McGregor, haven't heard his name quite so much, but I think McKinley is going to get that spot. So that is where I'm going to go there. But I got to tell you, I don't love it. I mean, I would not mind if Eric Watts took Michael Clemens' spot, but I don't know. That is probably the toughest position for me to figure out is defensive end. Who stays, who goes? Because to me, J.J. McDonald and probably Reddick, they're going to be there. But I think there's still 2 spots to fill. Let's see what happens. If Leonard Taylor hadn't been quite so good, then you could, do a situation where you have 4 defensive tackles and keep 6 edge rushers. But I don't think you're keeping 11 defensive linemen. Let's go. Hey, Scott Foster's here. Good to see him, my friend. Johnny asking how the OnlyFans is coming along. I think his OnlyFans is great, actually. Just kidding. All right, linebacker. Let's move on to that one. I've got 5 making it. C.J. Mosley, Quincy Williams, Jamian Sherwood, who just keeps getting better and better and better. I've got both Zaire Barnes and Chaz Surratt making it. The coaching staff loves Chaz Surratt. He is a tackling machine, led the team in tackles this past weekend, tied with Tanzel Smart. I don't think Surratt goes anywhere, and Barnes is showing some glimpses as well. I think 5 linebackers stay. I wouldn't mind only going with 4, but I think it's going to be 5 right now. And then we go to the secondary. So with this, we've used 15 spots, and we have 10 spots left for the secondary, 10 to go. So at cornerback, to me, you're keeping all 6. Sauce, DJ, Michael Carter II, Brandon Eccles, Quantas Stiggers, Jarek Bernard-Converse. You keep all 6, and then you keep 4. I don't think I even need to go into it. Why? They're all very, very capable, and they're all very, very, very good. Jets secondary is going to be remarkable. But boy, if you combine the edge rush that they could have if Reddick plays, I know it's still a good defense, but Reddick makes it better, and there's no denying that. But you combine that edge rush with that cornerback play, it can't not be a top 5 defense, plus the linebacking ability. My God, let safety be our weakness. For years, safety was our strength. And now it might be the weakest part of the defense, but that doesn't mean that it's a bad thing, right? But you look at the safeties, to me, I'm going Tony Adams, Chuck Clark, Ashton Davis. And with the final spot, I'm giving it to Isaiah Oliver. It was kind of a toss-up between him and Jalen Key. But right now, I'm leaning Oliver for the veteran status. Again, plays special teams very well. I think the Jets brought him to sort of be the Justin Hardy replacement. So that's kind of where I'm going there. So that is my projected 53-man roster. I think we'll probably do one more after the preseason ends, after the game against the Giants. Because you still have, I believe, 16 days between the Giant game and opening night against San Francisco. Okay? So, yeah, NFL, let's double check this. NFL cut down day 2024. So you got to have your roster cut down to 53 on August 27th, which is a Tuesday at 4 o'clock. All right, so Tuesday, August 27th. So what that means is, let me see here, 14, 21, 20. Okay, so I think what I might wind up doing is do an extra video. Maybe I'll do that the weekend of after the Giants game. I think that might be the best way to do that. Yeah, because by the time we do the show on the 28th, the roster will already be decided. So, yeah, but then we can break that down in a little bit more depth and talk about the practice squad. And, it's been a thing now. The Jets have lost some players in these cuts that they didn't want to lose, but somebody had to go, whether it was the tight end that went to Chicago, whether it was Jason Pinnock going to the Giants. There have been a lot of examples like that. It could be another, cut down day that is going to hurt a little bit. Let's see if there's anything else here with the Judon trade. Yeah. Hard 2025 third round. No new contract yet. Okay. I guess that's about the news until we hear information about a contract being signed. All right, guys. So that is pretty much it as far as the roster goes. Now let's do a little preview here. Not a major one, but Jets-Panthers. So the joint practice will be Thursday. There is no practice on Friday. And then you have the game 7 p.m. at Bank of America Stadium. Now, a couple things here with Carolina. Bryce Young may or may not play. I know those would be the only options, but their coach, Dave Canales, is not committing to it. He has thrown interceptions the last 2 practices, One of those interceptions was to a 300-pound defensive tackle. Good job, Bryce. I guess he's willing to take more chances, but maybe they're not calculated chances. If you had to look at one position on Carolina that's pretty dang good, you got to look at the safety room with Xavier Woods and Jordan Fuller. That's probably their best position right now, is safety. Okay. Now, they've had a few players who were injured, but they were out on the practice field today in Tommy Tremble, the tight end, Shaq Thompson, Xavier Leggett, who is one of my favorite wide receivers in this rookie class. We'll see if they wind up playing against the Jets. Deontay Johnson banged up. He's got a strained groin. Don't count on seeing him on Saturday. All right. So, let's X out of that. All right, guys, I'll tell you what we're going to do right now. Let's do a quick check here on the like count. How are we doing over here? All right, guys, we're up to 14 likes, so we need one more like if we're going to spin the wheel. So if you want the chaos of the Jets wheel, well, you got to smash that thumbs up right now. That's the way it goes. 15. That's the deal. 15, we do it, and we just got to 15. All right, we'll do a wheel in a little bit. But before we do the wheel, guys, you know what time it is, right? What do I do every week? You know the story. Every week, I bust open the books. I research the websites. I open up the Britannica Encyclopedia, the Encyclopedia Britannica, the Father's Almanac, the Farmer's Almanac, all the almanacs that there are. And I challenge you, the most loyal of the most loyal fan base in all of the NFL, the New York Jets fans. Just how much do you know about your team? How much do you know about the New York Jets? So if you are ready, you know what time it is. We've been here before. We know what happens at this point. Let's play Jets Trivia. All right, and we are ready for tonight's question. And you know, I love to make it topical. So tonight we are going to break out a Jets-Panthers trivia question. Ryan Jet, trivia time. There we go. Ryan Jet with the trivia. Glad you're here. Oh my God, Green Bean's here. Wow. Good to see you. I hope all is well. For sure. I'm glad that you are here tonight. Wow, been a minute. I'm glad. Yeah, and I have to acknowledge it was Green Bean who gave me the first opportunity to do this on YouTube, so I definitely thank him for that. It was something that I started with the Virginia Jets fans, and it became a weekly tradition on his channel and now onto my channel. So, all right, so let's do a Jets-Panthers trivia question. I'll give you 5 minutes on the clock, and let's see if we can get it correct. Here we go. The last Jets victory over Carolina, it's been a minute. November 29th, 2009. The Jets won the game 17-6. Your job is to name the two Jets who scored touchdowns, and your time starts now. So, guys, throw your answers down there in the comments, and I'll let you know if you're on the right track or if you need to reroute the train. Quick swig of water for the working man and working woman. All right, Ryan Jet goes with Jericho Cotchery. Is it Jericho Cotchery? I'm afraid not. Jericho did go to the Panthers, though, but it wasn't him. David D is going to get an answer. I think, I don't know if it's because he thinks it's correct or because he just wants me to say the name. Bilal Powell. No, Bilal Powell did not score that day. It was not him. Yeah, we've been doing pretty well with the last couple questions. I think it was 2 weeks ago I went a little deep with Deshaun Phillips. But outside of that, yeah, as long as the names are somewhat recognizable, yeah, you guys are doing pretty well. So, yeah, it was a good year for the Jets, one of their AFC championship seasons. David D goes the running back route. He goes with Thomas Jones. Is it Thomas Jones? It sure is. Thomas Jones did score a touchdown that day. So that's 1 down, 1 to go with 3 minutes and 36 seconds to go on the clock. So David D's got one. Who's got the other one? We got a lot of people in the chat right now. So I know somebody's got to guess. I know you guys know your 2009 Jets. We remember the good eras. We remember them well. While we're doing that, I'll get the list for the wheel ready to go since we get to spin the wheel tonight. Scott Foster goes with LaDainian Tomlinson. TJ and Tomlinson were not on the Jets at the same time. So, no, Tomlinson was still a Charger at that time. Ryan Jett goes with Dustin Keller. Is it Dustin Keller? Afraid not. Not quite. Eric Decker. No, Eric Decker was not a Jet yet. I think he was still in Denver at the time, if he was even in the league. Okay, how are we doing? We got, still got 2 minutes and 40 seconds. Guys, you could get this. You'll know the player. You'll know the player. It's not an obscure player or anything like that. Yeah. Fortunately, by the way, I will not be able to travel to Charlotte for the game I was hoping to. Unfortunately, a work conflict came up, and now I need to work Saturday till 3 o'clock. So it sucks. I'm out my hotel fare, but, it's okay. It is what it is. We move on. All right, David D says, Mark Sanchez. Is it Mark Sanchez? I'm afraid not, but a quick comeback. Hank G goes a little bit different. He went with Darrelle Revis. He went defense. Is it Darrelle Revis? It is. It's Darrelle Revis. That's right. One of his 3 pick sixes that he had in his career came that day against the Carolina Panthers. So, guys, we got the trivia correct tonight. So you know what we got to play and you know what we got to do. Good job, chat. All right, so you got it right tonight. I was wondering if that was going to trip somebody else. So good job by David and Hank getting the correct answers tonight. Okay, so tell you what, let's, we got it with about a minute and a half to go on the clock. Cool. All right, so now what I'm going to do, it is time to spin the wheel, and I think I want to go a little different direction. Ryan Jett adding a little bit of context to the interception. Hit off the receiver's heel and straight into Revis's arm. That might be the one. I didn't see the clip of it, but you might be right. All right. Well, guys, we're going to spin the wheel. Now we're going to go a little different. Not going to do the 100 Jets wheel tonight. Going to do one a little bit smaller. Let's do that instead. All right. So what I'm going to do is share my screen with everybody. All right. Got to refresh this for a second. Oh, here we go. There's spin the wheel. Not now. X. Sometimes StreamYard gets a little fussy here with sharing, but I think we could do it. StreamYard video documents the entire screen. All right, so let's do this a little different way. Editor, spin the wheel, and let's try it now. No. Yeah. This happens from time to time, but we'll get it working in just a second. There we go. Just the sharing gets a little weird. Present, share screen. Here it comes. All right. Oh, wow. All right, guys. So what wheel are we going to do? We've got the secondary wheel. We've got the running backs wheel. We've got the quarterback wheel if you're feeling particularly depressed tonight and you have alcohol ready to go. Jets draft choice. That's during the draft, so we can't do that one tonight. We've got the Jets draft seasons. Hey, Mess, good to see you. Jets Mess is here. The OG member of our channel, Jets draft classes. That was a little bit of a crazy one that we did one time. Jets coaches. We've got head coaches. Another very depressing wheel, and we've got Jets seasons. Okay, Johnny, Jets Mess. Do not do the boring one. Okay, well that rules out all of them because they're all boring as hell, right? All right, Johnny Boy wants to do the coaches. So, yeah, I'm going to give Johnny what he wants as far as the wheel goes. All right, so I think what we're going to do with this one, guys, I have an idea. We don't have the most number of coaches on here, so let's do this a little differently. Let's do a top 5 list of coaches, but we're going to do 2 top 5 lists. And then let's see which one is better. The great Jets Mess has just gifted a membership to Scott Foster. Scott, the newest member of the New York Sports WickerMedia family. Welcome. And now guess what? You not only have access to the emojis, and I got to create some new emojis in the next couple of days. Yeah, that will be a project of mine this weekend, is to create some more emojis for this channel. I've got to do that. But you also will have your name at the end of every recorded video that I do. So welcome. Jets Mess has also gifted Johnny Boy. Johnny, where you been, man? Johnny Boy is added as well, and our family is growing here. I love it. Jets Mess, you are awesome. Thank you so much for giving. Thank you so much for that. And Johnny couldn't wait to break out the wheel emoji, could he? Five of them. Oh, there we go. All right, guys. So, yeah, let's try the coach wheel, see what we can do tonight. So, for anybody who may be new, you now see before you the wheel, which I will now max out for you. So we have the name of every New York Jets head coach that there has ever been. Not the Titans, just the Jets. And so we are going to spin this wheel 5 times. You want to rank the coach. Now, normally it's 1 through 10, but on this wheel, it's going to be 1 through 5. So let's not be giving out any 6, 7, 8, 9s, and 10s, right? Green Bean is now a member of New York Sports WickerMedia. Welcome. Welcome, Green Bean. I'm down here in North Carolina, so we may not be in the same state, but hey, our love and passion for the New York Jets never changes. No doubt about it. Yeah. And yeah. A lot of what I've learned about doing this stuff, I learned from Green Bean, though he would not want you to know that. All right. So let's check out the wheel here. We are going to do 5 spins for round number 1. Then we'll do round number 2. So again, when we land on a coach, you tell me 1 through 5, 1 being the best, 5 being the worst, where you want to rank them. And we'll see at the end, 1 through 5, if we like that list. All right, so here we go. We are going to make our first spin of the night in 3, 2, 1, spin. Round and round it goes, and it comes to a stop on, oh, hell. Do we even need to ask where he is going to end up? The only way I think it could get worse is Richie Kotite. Oh my, maybe Lou Holtz. That's about at least Adam Gase won a couple of games, But guys like Lou Holtz, oh my God, yeah. Hank G goes with an 11. All right, Ryan Jet wants 5. Jets Mess says 5. Johnny Boy, a little more gracious. He goes with a 4. Yeah, I mean, they did win 7 games one season with Adam Gase, if I remember correctly. So, wow. All right, guys, throw your numbers down in there. Johnny Boy says the Kotite scares me. Yeah, and again, I think Kotite, Lou Holtz, you could rank them lower. Even Charlie Winter, he was Weeb Eubank's son-in-law, and was absolutely horrific. All right, Hank G says 5, so the 5s are definitely winning out here on this one. As I just squashed a bug on my kitchen table. Finally got him. All right, guys, it looks like the 5s are going to win out, so Adam, watch out for the smelling salts. Gase will be number 5, the bottom of the list. And as you guys know, if you've been around for a while, oftentimes we leave that number 1 spot open for the very last spin. Will it happen tonight? Let's find out. Okay, we're on to spin number 2 in 3, 2, 1, spin. And it's coming to a stop on, that was close, but our current head coach, Robert, still running the stairs, Saleh. I will say this. I heard him on WFAN with Boomer and Gio, and I got to say, I thought it was one of his best media interviews. He seems a lot more focused this year than he ever has been, determined to get the distractions out and to really focus on football. And you can just tell on his face what a relief it is to not be dealing with hard knocks, the initial rush of Aaron Rodgers being here for the first time. I think Robert Saleh feels, I still don't know if I trust him. I'm not saying I'm going that far, but I think he is as prepared to coach this team as he's been, and I think he's finally getting some ideas on what he needs to do. Managing his time was rated very low for that, and I think he's made that a point of focus this year, and I like that. So maybe that means a few less holes on the golf course or less time to make hits. Maybe that's it. Johnny, take his advice. Okay, so checking out the numbers. I see a lot of threes. Scott Foster going a little bit lower at the 4 level. You know, it is a little bit tough considering that he has not had a winning record or been to the playoffs yet. But I definitely don't think he would be at the bottom of the barrel. I guess the question is, do you think we will land on a coach who we would rank worse than this? Yeah, I know it's always a little bit tough when the final story isn't written, but you got to do it because that just adds a level of intrigue. All right, I think the threes are winning out. I'll give everybody about 15 seconds or so to get those final votes in. Let your voice be heard, chat. Okay, I think the threes are going to take this. So Robert Saleh will be number 3 on this list. Okay. Yep, Scott Foster agrees. He changed it to 3 as well? Okay. All right, so we have spots 1, 2, and 4 left on this list. All right, so Gase at 5, Saleh at 3. Gone very, very recent. Will we go back a few years on this next spin? Well, let's find out in 3, 2, 1. And again, if we land on the same coach twice, we respin. Bruce Coslett, best known for those oversized glasses, did get the Jets, I believe, to I think it was 1 playoff game. I think he coached them at the game in Houston. There we go. Just killed another bug. All right. So Bruce Coslett, where are we going to go? 1, 2, or 4? I can't imagine that we're going to rank him number 1 on our list. I got a feeling this will be 2 or 4. I tell you guys, chat, while you're putting that down there, I'm going to look up some numbers on Bruce Coslett. Bruce coming out of the Coslett. 78 years old now. Wow, still around. And was the coach from 1990 to 1993. And had a record of 26-38. Yep, had the 1 playoff finish, finished 4th, and 3rd the other years. Records were 6-10, 8-8, 4-12, 8-8. So the Jets never had a winning record under Bruce Coslett, but they did get to the playoffs one time. It looks like 4 is going to pretty much run away with this one. Yeah, 4's got this in the bag. Okay. Yeah, I don't even need to let that one go. All right, so we're filling up the bottom of this list with Gase, Coslett, and Saleh at 5, 4, 3. So now with these last 2 spins, we're going to fill in the first 2 spots of our list tonight. And then we're going to do one more top 5 round for the – you know what? I've got an idea. Let's do 1 coach list, 1 top 5, and 1 quarterback list top 5. How about that? I saw somebody in the chat want to do like quarterback or running back. So let's do that. Let's do the list of 5 for the coach and then the list of 5 for the quarterback. The 2 most important positions in the NFL, right? Coach and quarterback. Let's do both tonight. I think that's going to be fun. Okay, let's spin the wheel. This is going to be spin number 4 in 3, 2, 1. Spin on 1. And it's going to come to a stop on. No, we're respinning this. We're not going to have him on the wheel again a second time. No. Bye, Adam. Bye. I'm ashamed to share the same first name as you. Oh, gosh. I don't think we've ever landed on the same thing twice in a row in the history of ever doing a wheel. All right. We're going to keep going until we land on somebody else. Okay, Todd Bowles. Definitely not my favorite. Hank G with an interesting point. We're missing Ron Middleton. He was interim coach for a couple of games. I think he was interim coach for 1 game. And you know what? Maybe I should do that. Todd Bowles was one of my least favorite coaches. I just felt he had no personality, no charisma, no ability to inspire his players. But you know what? He did help get the Buccaneers to the playoffs. So I got to give him a little bit of credit for that. Little bit. But as a head coach with the New York Jets, let's see. He went 24-40, 10-6 his first year. Of course, that was the year they missed the playoffs, but when they lost the game in Buffalo. Right after that game, I said, this is not the guy. Then he went 5-11, 5-11, 4-12. But the funny thing is, history is actually being kind of nice to him because he at least made the playoffs and in Tampa Bay. So at this point, I mean, it's going to be 1 or 2, and I think you got to put him at 2. This is a sad ass list, isn't it? And the funny thing is, wait a minute. Have any of these coaches? I got to go back to this. I think Bowles is the only one to have a winning record, right? Gase didn't. Kozlov didn't. Saleh hasn't. We've had one winning record between these coaches in like 4, 8, 11, 15 years, one winning record. Oh, my God. One winning record out of 15 seasons that these 4 guys have had. It shouldn't. I can think of at least 4 coaches on this wheel who are clearly number 1. Even 5. That would be a clear number 1. All right, so that's what's up. As I killed 3 bugs I've killed during the show. My gosh. All right, well, here's where we are on the coach wheel. Number 5, Adam Gase. Number 4, Bruce Kozlov. Number 3, Robert Saleh. Number 2, Todd Bowles. So the last spin will once again be number 1. Let's spin the wheel in 3, 2, 1. I think we're going to make it. Yes, it is Weeb Eubank, the only coach to get the Jets to a Super Bowl and the only coach to win a Super Bowl with the Jets. You know what? Not the best GM. Let a lot of players go. He was cheap. But you know what? He coached maybe the best era of Jets football for about a 3 or 4 year span. No way around it. So, guys, I got to tell you, as I quickly get out of this, you know what just happened. We won the wheel, guys. All right. I almost wonder if we should quit while we're ahead, but no, we're not going to do that because I can't leave you with just 5 names, right? Okay, so this was an absolute winner. Eubank, and then a huge drop down to Todd Bowles, Robert Saleh, Bruce Kozlov, and Adam Gase. All right, guys, we're going to finish it up tonight with a quarterback wheel. We got a lot more options with quarterbacks than we do with head coaches. So we're going to do the same thing here, and we are going to spin the wheel and get 5 names. And we've got names going all the way from Joe Namath to Zach Wilson. I mean that both in terms of time frame and talent. Okay, so let's do our quarterback wheel. Guys, again, you know what to do. If we land on that, when we land on the player, you tell me what number he's going to be. You know what? Let's make it a little bit more fun. Let's do what we do for the 100 spin player wheel. If we land on the quarterback and you pick that name in the chat before we make the spin, then you tell me where you're going to put that quarterback. Hank G, did Hackenberg make the wheel? Yes, out of pity. I put him on the wheel. He couldn't get on the field, so I put him on the wheel. I like that. He couldn't get on the field, so I put him on the wheel. Christian Hackenberg. All right, so guys, I'll tell you what. We're going to do that first spin, but everybody put down there in the chat who you think we're going to land on. So claim your quarterback. I'll give you guys a minute or 30 seconds to a minute or so. Yeah, Christian Hackenberg is down there in the lower right at about 5 o'clock on the wheel. Yeah, he's there. Hank G is going to take Geno Smith. Okay. Let's see. Any more news on the Matthew Judon trade? I don't think so. Oh, Marlon Humphrey. Didn't see this coming, but at least the red sleeves can continue. All right. All right, guys. Anybody else want to put in a guess on who we're going to land on? I'm going to say we land on Bryce Petty. Why not? Let's start low and work our way up. I'm just going to take Bryce Petty. All right, guys. Let's start the quarterback wheel in 3, 2, 1. Tony Alexio wants Chris Streveler. You know what? I need to add him, don't I? Oh, Bryce Petty. This was not rigged, guys, I promise. Yeah, Bryce Petty. Okay. Yep, Aaron Rodgers. Well, Aaron Rodgers has to make the wheel. He has to. But you're right. I should put Streveler in the next time we do this. And maybe I'll put in or Simeon or Boyle. You know what? What the hell, guys? You know what? Let's fix this right now. So you guys are going to actually watch me make a live update to the wheel. Chris Streveler, and I don't think I have him in here yet. Tim Boyle. All right, now let's shuffle it. There we go. Now the wheel is all nice and shuffled. All right, so I actually got Bryce Petty correct. So I get to put him where I would like to put him. I'm going to put him at spot number 4. All right, so now we got Tim Boyle and Chris Streveler. And a bad wheel just went to sucking. All right. And again, guys, we're going 1 through 5 here. Just 1 through 5. We're not going to do 10, just 5. All right. Spin number 2. Guys, put your guesses down there in the chat. All right. I'm going to say Joe Flacco. Whew, it's pretty hot out here. Going to finish that water off tonight, I think. Yeah, that bottle's... I'm going to get through all 22 ounces of my blender bottle. Yeah, and after this, I'll probably actually be watching the Mets because I'm an absolute sucker for punishment. What am I doing with my life? All right, Hank G says Sanchez. Okay, here we go. In 3, 2, 1. So we have spots 1, 2, 3, and 5 open. And welcome to the wheel, Tim Boyle. Tim Boyle gets added to the chat, added to the wheel, and then 1 minute later, we land on him. Tim Boyle, is there any place that he belongs other than at the bottom of the list? I didn't think so. Nice guy, though, I'm sure. Oh, my gosh. All right, so we're starting with Tim Boyle at 5 and Bryce Petty at 4. I'd say there's nowhere to go but up, but as Jets fans, we know that's not the case. All right, spin number 3. In 3, 2, 1. There are the Luke Falks and the Browning Nagels and the Christian Hackenbergs. And speaking of which, guess who we land on? All of a sudden, maybe Tim Boyle should have been at number 3, right? Christian Hackenberg. You know what? Wait, we're getting word. We cannot count Christian Hackenberg because technically he never suited up for the Jets. So for the sake of this wheel, we are going to respin this wheel on spin number 3. Christian Hackenberg, get out of here. We are going to spin. Johnny Boy says 19. We got a top 3 let the fill, and damn it, I'm not going to have Christian Hackenberg in my top 3. We're not going to have him in our top 3. Let's respin in 3, 2, 1, spin. A little bit faster cadence, trying to get some better juju out of this. Okay, that's at least a serviceable quarterback in Josh McCown. I don't know what he used in his hair, but whatever he used, man, he had some good hair going for himself. You know, pretty much the epitome of an average run-of-the-mill quarterback. Played with the Jets in 2017 and 2018. And let's see, in that time, his record was 5-11. Wow. 267 completed passes in 2017 was pretty good. 2,900. He did have almost 3,000 yards in 2017, if that's getting anybody excited. Actually threw 18 touchdowns in 2017. That was a career high for a single season for him. So Hank G asks, is 3 still open? Yes, it is. So, yeah, Josh McCown will either be 1, 2, or 3 on this list. 3? Yeah, I think 3 is about the right spot for this particular player. Oh, also from Adam Schefter, not as big as the Judon trade, but Matthew Stafford experienced hamstring tightness, did not finish Wednesday's joint practice against the Cowboys. Well, the Jets play the Rams this year, but not until, I think, December. So I'm willing to bet Stafford will be okay by then. Okay, number 3, Josh McCown. It's pretty much unanimous. These have not been that hard to figure out. It's like we get the guy and we pretty much know where to put him, right? We haven't had any arguments or any like major debates or anything like that. All right, we got 2 spots, number 2 and number 1. And let's spin the wheel. This is spin number 9 of the night, spin number 4 of this wheel in 3, 2, 1. And we're coming to a stop on Neil O'Donnell. Well, we know he wasn't a favorite of Bill Parcells. If this was the Bill Parcells wheel, he'd be at the bottom of the list. You know, a free agent signing that coming off a Super Bowl appearance absolutely did not work out. Morristown, New Jersey native. But, you know, was with the Jets for 2 years, 1996 and 1997. There we go. So had a record of 8-12. Went 0-6 in 96, but 8-6 the next year. Let's see. 21 touchdowns to 14 interceptions. Tied his career high. 17 touchdowns that last year he was with the Jets. 80.3 passer rating that year. 2,796 yards. So 96 was a bit of a washout because he only played 6 games. And then he played 15 in 1997 before he got sent out of town and went to Cincinnati. So it was a very, very small sample size of 21 games. I think at this point you pretty much got to make him 2, right? Yeah, Johnny, Hank, Harlan, Tony. Yeah, just about everybody, yeah. All right, so Neil O'Donnell will be number 2. Now, guys, let's be honest. How hard can it really be to find a Jet quarterback better than Neil O'Donnell? All 21 games worth. Losing record. Guys, we look around the wheel. I see good quarterbacks, good solid quarterbacks, and even a tiny, tiny handful of all-time greats. So, on the wheel so far, it has been Tim Boyle at number 5, Bryce Petty at number 4, Josh McCown at number 3, and Neil O'Donnell at number 2. 2 lousy quarterbacks and 2 very mediocre quarterbacks, I would say. Mediocre to bad. All we're asking for is good. I'm not asking for a Ring of Honor. I'm not asking for the Hall of Fame. I'm just asking for a good, competent quarterback, which is what Jets fans have been asking for seemingly the last 20 years. 15 maybe, if you want to count Mark Sanchez. I'll give you that much. All right, guys. Spin number 10 of the night, spin number 5 of the wheel, and the wheel that will determine our number 1 quarterback of the wheel. In 3, 2, 1. Our final spin of the night, and I think we got to be happy with this one, landing on a player that some would consider the second best quarterback in the history of the Jets, and that is number 7, Ken O'Brien. I think a very fitting pick for the number 1 spot, especially considering what is around him. And so what else can I say to that? Except I think we went 2 for 2 tonight. Guys, this is pretty unbelievable. We aced the wheel. We aced the trivia. This is pretty much a perfect night. The first time we have ever had that. So great jobs by you guys. Great job by the wheel. We pretty much did what we wanted to do, you know? So what else can I say? Antonio Alexio is exactly right. Parcells ran Neil O'Donnell out of town. Why else was Leon Johnson throwing passes in that final game against Detroit? Why was Ray Lucas in that game? We all love Ray. God knows I miss him on SNY. But why else was he on there? Why were those 2 guys in there throwing passes? Because Parcells didn't trust Neil O'Donnell. Exactly right, Tony. So, hey, guys, I got to tell you, this has been a fun night. We did about 90 minutes. And you know the deal. We'll be back here next week, August 21st. We'll be recapping Carolina, previewing the game against the Giants. You know there'll be more news. Hopefully by this time next week, the Haason Reddick drama has all played out. But I'll just say 1 or 2 quick things. I want to thank everybody who has become a member, everyone who's given memberships out, anyone who's ever done a super chat, any of that cool stuff. All the support matters. It all counts. And it is all very much appreciated. Everybody have a fantastic rest of your week, and I will see you right back here with more content from you know where. The Wicker Chair. Good night, everybody.